Hey, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Voices of Healthcare Cloud. This is a webinar series focused on healthcare use cases using the Microsoft technology stack that is presented to you by my colleague Shelly, myself, my name is Vasu Sharma, and my colleague Josh Thompson. Shelly, if you can come off mute and maybe quickly introduce yourself.
Yes, hey everybody, Shelly here. So excited to see you guys again and looking forward to hearing from our great presenters today. Thanks, Vasu.
Thanks, Shelly. So before we start, quick housekeeping. We would love for any interaction in the chat window that you see. So please ask away any questions that you might have. The questions are moderated, so you will not see the question unless it's published. So if you want to send something privately, that's also fine. The recordings will be posted on the HLS blog. The link is included here. It's aka.ms/HLS blog. Feel free to browse and share afterwards with your colleagues. Very quickly, I'll do a quick demo of how to engage the Q&A panel. So up at the top corner, you should see an icon with a question mark that you can click, clicking on which you would have the option to type up a question or a comment. You can decide to make it anonymous, or you can decide to add with your name and identity so that we can reach out to you afterwards as well. So after the presentation, today we're going to talk about My Order supply chain bot. And we're joined by Michael Hobbs, who's a senior technology specialist here at Microsoft, and Amber Weise, who's also a senior technical specialist, focusing on the supply chain bot today through some of our virtual agent capabilities and think through how you can bring supply chain and customer interaction together in a single space. Amber, I want to turn it over to you. I see you and Michael are both on. Please take it away.
Yep. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. Me and Amber certainly appreciate it. What we're going to walk you through is this is a new innovation that Microsoft is bringing into healthcare supply chain. Now, the technology itself, in terms of the power automation and the chatbot, Microsoft has had that in multiple industries. And so we have now brought that in from the different industries. And the use case came about really through our discussion. We were in discussions with a major IDN with their chief supply chain officer. And what he presented to us when we asked him, well, what's your major challenge? What's the major pain point that you're having within your supply chain? And what he presented to us, he called it the last mile. He said, we're using Oracle as our ERP. He said, but our biggest challenge is for our end users to understand where their purchase order is. So he said, we know our nurses and our end users, they're not going to go into the ERP and sign in and try to find their requisition in their PO. He was looking for a way that was very proactive, right? A very proactive, innovative way by which the end user could, be it on their cell phone, be it through Microsoft Teams, have the ability to simply query and find out the status of their purchase order. And so with that, me and Amber set about really getting the details of the use case from the chief supply chain officer. And we came up with multiple use cases, not only just about where's your purchase order, but also in terms of looking to find out if they wanted to find different inventory stocks or if they wanted to find out the status of their back order. And so with that, we had a chance to present this to the chief supply chain officer, and I tell you, he was enamored. His response was, this was revolutionary. And so we wanted to make sure we got this out to everyone. This was just created in June of this year for healthcare supply chain. So again, the technology and what you're about to see is not new to Microsoft. We've used it in other industries, but it is new to healthcare supply chain. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Amber Weise, and she'll walk you through the My Order supply chain bot. Amber, it's all yours.
Awesome. Hey folks, my name is Amber Weise. I am a Power Platform Global Black Belt here at Microsoft, which is just a fancy way to say I'm here to help really remove any technical blockers in our customers' journeys to adopt the Power Platform. So I want to do a quick introduction on video. I'm going to turn off my video because I am going to share out my content here. So Michael did a really good job of giving us the background of why we've created this solution. We've built it on top of the Power Platform. And if you're not familiar with the Power Platform, it's a subset of tools that allows us to build apps, chatbots, workflows, really in a simple way in terms of being low code, but then also in a very quick and responsive way. So like Michael said, we identified this need. Within a week, we had something built to show to the chief supply chain officer of this, healthcare organization. We were able to move really quick. So I'm going to share my screen out here and show you some content around what this My Order supply chain bot is. All right, so this is the user interface that we are servicing this bot. So what does this bot actually do? It is agnostic to really any sort of ERP system. I'm actually just using some Dataverse tables on the back end to act as my ERP system, but imagine this is Oracle, imagine it's some, Dynamics, imagine it's whatever system you want it to be. And so what I'm able to do is query this bot and ask it questions about orders that are out within the system. And like Michael mentioned, it's really about that last mile of innovation. So this is going to be used by nurses and clinicians who aren't sitting in front of a computer every day, or maybe don't even have an Oracle login, but still need to know, hey, I'm waiting on that 500 count of syringes. Where are they at? I need to know so that I can either plan appropriately, or I have to decide, hey, I need to go down to a different floor and maybe grab some from their inventory. So what I can do here is query my bot, and it'll ask me some questions about how it can help. So I might say, hey, I want you to list all of the orders out there that are specific to me. So it's going to go out there, filter on a column, which I've used as ordered by. But imagine in your ERP system, it could be any specific filtering. It could be the floor that you're on. It could be your title, right? So it looks like I have 2 orders that are out there right now. Do I want to see more specific details about an order? Yes, I want to dive into, let's see, that first order a little bit further. So what I can do is ask to see more details about my specific order, order number 1. So what it allowed me to do is then query this bot further to say, hey, show me specific details about order 1, and it'll go through and say, all right, here's your order, here's the details about it, but then here are the line items that are a part of this specific order. So to show you on the back end what is actually happening right now, I want to first pull up 2 different tables. So you see here I have this order table, which just has 2 orders that you saw me query. And then it also has this order items table, which these are the line items associated to each each order. So I can see here that order 1 has 3 line items that's associated to it, these 3 items here. So in my Power Virtual Agent, again, this is that low code app chatbot development tool. What I'm able to do is build out this chatbot in a way that's really easy to follow, and then I can also specify what I want to happen throughout this, this chatbot session. So I triggered my chatbot, and it asks me, how can I help? List my orders or look up a specific order. In this case, I listed orders, so it went through and ran this workflow called List My Orders. So what does that look like? It's just a workflow that runs and grabs all of the orders relevant to me, filtering by, I think, like I said, I have a column called Ordered By, and it's looking for me. It goes out, and if everything was successful, then it's going to go out and give me all of my orders, like we saw those 2 listed. If I don't have any orders under mine, then I built in logic to say, sorry, there's no orders to be found under your name. So once it's successful, then I can say, hey, do you want to see more details about an order? So if I say yes, what I can do is it'll ask for the order ID, and then based on that ID, I can go and look up and it'll grab more details about that order from this workflow. So what does that workflow look like? I have a workflow here, get an order. What it does is it gets my profile, gets some information about me, and then lists all of that rows in the order table. So what I'm looking for is it's ordered by me, and the order ID is equal to whatever I passed it, ID 1, ID 2, whatever that might be. And if that's successful, then what it's going to do is it says, all right, I've gotten the details about that order, but now let's get the line items associated to that item. So what it'll do is the second part here under the order items table, it'll go out and list all of the items where the order ID value is equal to, in this case, order number 1. So I will receive 3 items back to the chatbot, and the chatbot will iterate through those and say, hey, these are the line items associated to your order. So you saw me working with the bot in Teams. I can work with it in many different ways. I can surface it in Teams and a custom website. I can bring it into, Facebook. There's a lot of different places to surface this bot. But if you want to see how this bot actually works in action, let's test it in this pane right here. So I'm going to query my bot. I'm going to say hi. It's going to say, how can I help? All right, instead of I did list my orders last time, let's look up a specific order. So now it's going to go down. What's your order's ID? Well, let's look up that number 1 again. And what it'll be able to do is run through this. You can see how it jumped really fast. Let me pull us back up here. You can see it said 1 moment, grabbing your order details. It ran this workflow and it kicked out all of this information for me. So because it ran successfully, it comes down this path and here's what it's supposed to give me. So we can see matching order details. Here's the name of that order and then the order number, which is VAR ID here. It lists the supplier, the status, expected arrival date, and then the item details. It iterates through those for me. And again, these are just items that I've specified that I want to see in my chatbot. If I also wanted to see, unit cost or any other piece of content about that item, I could definitely have that listed. So you can see now it's successful and it's done. But let's say, for example, I ask to see an order and it doesn't have, so I'll requery my bot. I'll just ask it hi again. Let's say, hey, look up a specific order. Let's say I go in there and ask for order 4. That doesn't exist, right? So what it's going to do, that workflow is going to run. It says, sorry, it seems like we can't find that order because order number 4 does not exist. What do I want to do? Do I want to start over? Maybe I, mistype something, or maybe I'm just going to end my session because I don't, I don't have an order out there right now that I'm looking for. Maybe that one's already been processed. So you can see how you can build in these different pieces within the bot to handle exceptions. But then, let's say, for example, people don't know their order number. I could, have it be based off of order name, or, hey, give me a piece of information about this order and I'll go look up and find any rows or any items that might seem to fit. So you can see this is how the chatbot works. And if I zoom out here, it's just a web of all of these different, steps that are followed based on whatever path the user takes that bot down. So it looks pretty, complex here, but I think the logic is pretty easy to follow. And so what this does is it allows us to surface that information to nurses, to clinicians, like I said, who aren't sitting in front of a computer all day. What they can do is easily pull up their phone and say, hey, where is my bot? They can where's my order from that bot, right? They can easily query that information in a way that allows them to quickly see this information without having to step behind a computer, log into Oracle or whatever system. Now, that is one of the really nice capabilities here. But the other thing that makes this really awesome is the ability to not only do this reactive work of, hey, tell me where order number 2 is, but it also allows us to do proactive things like, for example, what if my order gets put on back order? I want to know about that. So what I actually have here is a workflow that says, hey, whenever a specific, and I'll actually just show it this way. Whenever a specific order is marked as on back order, so whenever on back order is equal to true, then I want to post a card into Teams saying, hey, by the way, and this is all just fancy formatting here. By the way, your order has now been marked as on back order. And so what I can do is I can test this. So let's do a test. Let's pretend my order just got marked as on back order. So what I can do is I can run this test. And then what it'll do is it'll actually notify me in Teams saying, hey, it looks like your order has been marked as on back order. So let me try that again. Looks like my bot's trying to save it, or my workflow is trying to save itself first. There we go. Slow on me this morning. Let's just resubmit that. And this will pop up, as you can see here, notification via that My Order bot, and I just ran it twice on accident, but you can see alert your orders on back order, item number 1, here's that order name, here's the supplier, and we'll update you when that order ships. So now it's been marked as on back order, and now we'll get updates once that item has specifically been, marked as not on back order or whatever, however your system marks, items on back order or items being shipped, we'll be able to capture all of that with this bot and then surface that information to the end user. So in closing, this uses really combination of multiple pieces of the Power Platform. It uses Power Virtual Agents to be able to communicate to the end users wherever they are. In this case, I have it in Teams because a lot of us spend most of our day in Teams. But if it's a mobile app, that could be fine. If it's on a custom website, that can work as well. I also have Power Automate workflows kicking off, making sure that information is being routed properly, grabbing the right information, grabbing the right columns and fields, and showcasing that to the end user. And then right now I'm using Dataverse as the backend database, but you can use whatever ERP system makes sense for you. So you'd be able to go in and actually query based on whatever columns you want to query against. So be able to showcase the data that you want that end user to see. So you can build in that information hierarchy and let them see. Are you allowed to see all orders? Are you only allowed to see orders within that you personally have purchased, placed, or orders that you are potentially you are part of the unit that placed that order, right? So you can decide what orders individuals are allowed to see. So with that, I will wrap up the demo here, but this is, again, the My Order bot being able to showcase information and bringing that last mile of supply chain, being able to say, here's the order status. And actually, the customer that we're working with now has recently just brought in a partner to help really make sure that we are implementing this to its full capability, and then hopefully eventually even adding in their inventory solution here as well, so that whenever a notification comes in like this about an item on back order, adding potentially another option here to say, hey, this is on back order, but it looks like floor 7 has the items you're looking for. Would you like us to reach out to them, or would you like to see how many they have on their shelves, right? So being able to add other systems into this as well. All right, so with that, Vasu and Shelley, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Amber. We have some questions coming up here. Can you comment on the source of discovery of this bot? Is this limited only to Teams, or can you perhaps make this available on a website or on your phone natively, something to that effect?
Yeah, it's a great question because there's some really awesome capabilities with Power Virtual Agents, and I'll show it here. Teams tends to be my default because that's where I spend the majority of my day. If I were going to work with a bot, that's where I'd find it. But if you want to put it on a mobile app or on a custom website or on Facebook, you want to use, any of these other solutions as ways to kick off your bot. There's a lot of different ways that we can surface this bot to make sure it's meeting your end users.
Amber, can you also comment on perhaps the technology stack that's used behind the scenes and what type of licensing typically this requires?
Definitely. So the technology stack here is the Power Platform. And when we talk about the Power Platform, it's specifically, we have Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, Power BI, and Power Pages, right? And so here I'm using the subset of Power Virtual Agents and Power Automate. And so Power Virtual Agents is kind of the star of the show, being able to surface all of this information to the end user. And the way that we license Power Virtual Agents is we license it by sessions. So what you do is you buy a bucket of sessions. So maybe I'm going to buy a bucket of 2,000 sessions for this month, and then I can consume out of that bucket how many sessions are being leveraged. So what does a session mean? It's basically anytime somebody interacts with the bot and the bot has to go and take some action somewhere. So that's what a session would be in this case.
Gotcha.
So it's a really a cost-effective way to make this happen.
Got it. Thanks, Amber. Perhaps if you can comment on the learning capability of the bot, like should we expect the bot to learn over a period of time from the phrases that are fed to it? Can you comment on the AI capabilities that run behind the scenes?
Definitely. So Power Virtual Agents actually has a lot of AI capabilities built into learning capabilities built into it. So one thing, for example, is when I have topics, what I can do is these are just different things that my bot knows about. So my bot knows about orders. That's kind of the main topic I work with. So whenever I want to trigger the orders topic, I can ask for these phrases. But what if somebody doesn't ask for list orders, or what if they ask for show me my order statuses. The bot is smart enough to realize, okay, that fits within this bucket. And now I'm going to learn that that's a common phrase that people can ask. Or what if somebody types something wrong or spells something wrong? Will it still recognize it? Yes, because it can actually grab, it actually uses AI on the back end to realize that, what are people asking for? And the other thing here too is with our AI capabilities is we can actually specify, what terms can be equal to. So, a common example might be if somebody asks for soccer and somebody asks for football, and in reality you're like, okay, no, those are the same thing. We want those to be, tied together. What you can do is say, hey, in our organization, people use these two same terms to reference the same thing. So what you can do is build this, I'll call it almost like a dictionary or a thesaurus. You can build this in to say, hey, when somebody asks for this term is also relevant. Now there is some that built-in capability as well, but if there's stuff that's unique to your organization, you can also build that into the bot.
Understood. But just in order to understand the effort required to stand up the bot in the first place, is there a simpler way of creating these categories of questions? Is there some kind of an import functionality if I have a list of questions already or a list of conversations?
Yeah, it's a great question. You can actually import from existing questions that you have, and you can also bring in entities and topics from an existing, let's say you have an FAQ site. So for example, if I wanted to go in and, I can create a topic from blank, or I can go in and look at suggested topics. Or if I already have, like, again, let's say this is a bot for our help desk, and I already have an FAQ page for our help desk, you can automatically pull in topics and entities from that that website or that page that already exists. So really easy.
Wow, that's amazing. So if I understand correctly, it would just simply digest the URL, parse the questions in Q&A pairs, and make it available for you to turn on?
Yeah, that way you're not having to go in and manually type in each individual question.
Wow, that's amazing. There's a question coming up, Amber, in chat about the ERP or the backend database that you connected with. You mentioned Oracle. How extensible is that set of connectors? Are you limited to Oracle? Can you add more ERPs? Can you comment on that whole process?
Yeah, so the connectors that we have available are, there's actually over 700 of them. And I could actually grab a link here and give you the access to all of the different connectors that we have out there. However, like I said, we have 700. But if there is one that you're looking for that we don't already have a connector to, we have a flexibility there to create what we call a custom connector. What a custom connector is basically a wrapper around an existing API that you can go in and grab data from. So in the chat, I just posted our connector reference overview. I'll pull this over here just so folks can see it. But as you can see here, list of all the connectors. I like to use this on the side here. So if I scroll, I can see all of the different connectors that we have listed. Definitely recommend these. These are usable within Power Automate that you can bring, connect all your data sources to. Or create apps and workflows around that. So definitely recommend looking through this list here and see what we have available.
Yeah, and even with the customer who we're working with now, they use Oracle, and so we're tied in and just simple APIs, right? Just a straightforward, because we're talking the major ERP. So whether it's SAP, Oracle, Workday, Lawson Infor. Even what we're working with now with the current customer, we're just using the straight APIs that are coming out of Oracle and then tying those into the bot as well. So nothing major. It's just pulling the fields that already exist in their ERP and then making that information accessible with the chatbot.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I'll add to that. I'm actually working with another healthcare organization right now, building out a chatbot that allows you to route your questions to the appropriate on-call resident. So whether that's, the pediatric resident that's on call, or whether that's the person from, whatever resident is currently in the actual building. And so what we're pulling from is a system that they use called QGenda, which is for scheduling who's actually on the shift right now. And we as Microsoft don't have a connector for that, but that service does have an API. So we've just simply created a custom connector, a wrapper around it, and now we can use that data in apps, workflows, chatbots, right? We've really been able to now plug into this system really easily just by creating that custom connector.
That's awesome. Thanks, Amber. Thanks, Michael. Do you mind sharing with our listeners here, what's the best place to start and best way to get started with this? Should we look to get in touch with our Microsoft account teams, or can we just get a demo environment? Can you just comment on how to get started and start conceptualizing around this?
Yeah,
definitely.
Go ahead, Amber. Go ahead.
Yeah, from multiple perspectives. If you're just curious to learn about Power Virtual Agents, our Microsoft Learn site has wonderful, guidance around really any Microsoft technology, but there's some really great hands-on learning for Power Virtual Agents. If this use case particularly speaks to you, or you have some ideas around using Power Platform and specifically even Power Virtual Agents to create something like this, 100% reach out to your Microsoft account team. They'll get you connected with somebody like Michael or I, and we'll be able to help bring this to life. I do have a demo example of this up on my GitHub that I'll post in the chat. That way, if you just want to plug it into an existing environment and kind of play around with it and then break it and do whatever you want with it, all the power to you. So I'll put that in the chat as well. But my default is always reach out to your account team, because they'll be able to connect you to the breadth of people we have at Microsoft to really help bring this to life for you.
That's amazing. Thanks, Amber. And thanks, Michael. I don't see any other questions in chat, but people are welcome to share their comments on the blog post itself once the recording is uploaded. Amber, Michael, I want to thank you again for your time. Shelley, thank you so much for joining. And we'll probably close soon. Amber, I'm going to drop the link for our attendees to see from your GitHub page. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
All right, super. Thank you for your time.
Thanks,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thank you.